It's Monday, and that means one thing, brothers. We're going to talk Warhammer 40,000 rumours, and this one is all about range refreshes. We're coming to the end of 10th edition, and one of the biggest questions, one of the biggest requests I've had on this channel is what are going to be the next big range refreshes. So this video is going to be dedicated to that. We've got some big ranges, which I know a lot of people would want to see, and also potentially a brand new army stepping forth in 11th edition. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. As always, please remember that rumours are rumours. As I always say, rumours are lies until Games Workshop themselves prove it over on their social media feeds, reveal shows, etc., etc. So take them for what they are, rumours and not facts. So let's start with one of the big ones, and one of the ones that I'm mostly looking forward to, and that's all to do with Space Marines. Who would have thought it? Valrak, right? This edition, the Dark Angels got the Deathwing refresh, and I thought it was absolutely incredible. I think there could have been more improvements here and there, but that's not a video we're talking about today. So Deathwing happened in 10th edition, and what I'm hearing going forward in 11th edition, the Raven Wing are supposed to be getting all their love, which again makes sense from Games Workshop because they like to release things in phases. It happened before with the Orcs. They got a phase 1, phase 2. Eldar got a phase 1 and a phase 2 of their launch as well. But when it comes to the Raven Wing, this actually mixes in with some of the actual Space Marine rumors that we've been hearing. We've been hearing multi-part Outriders, new land speeders, right? So it all makes sense that next edition, all this is going to be pushed on us because that is kind of the edition that I'm calling the fast attack edition, like Vanguard veterans, speeders, bikers, all that stuff. Maybe we'll get like a multi-part, like captains on a bike, all that kind of weird stuff, and everything. But to add that then to the mix of the Raven Wing rumors that I've been hearing with their big refresh, it makes sense because they're probably going to get their own version of Outrider bikes with probably like their own variants of weapon loadouts on there, maybe their own type of characters on there. We all know Samael rides around on this Dark Age of Technology jet bike, if I'm not mistaken, and he is the leader, of course, of the Raven Wing. Now, he's probably not going to be the only person to have a jet bike in the future because there's big rumors about the White Scar guy, of course, getting a jet bike, but I would love to see that brand new Samael model redesigned, redone in a new awesome scale and just put out there on the battlefield. When we're talking land speeders as well, as I mentioned, land speeders are supposed to be getting a brand new variant for the Space Marines. Is this then going to be walked across the aisle to the Dark Angels of the Raven Wing, and they're also going to get like a variant of that land speeder? Again, the Outriders that we've talked about. I think this is the direction that Games Workshop are going in. They're going to release the base model for the Space Marine range and then fancy it up when it comes to the Dark Angels. We've seen it before, right? Look at the Terminators, the Deathwing Knights. They were basically Terminators, but they got their own fancy version of them, just like the Wolf Guard for the Space Wolves. I think this is what's going to happen with the Raven Wing now going forward in 11th edition. And staying on the topic of Marines, let's talk Grey Knights because apparently next edition is going to be their edition, and they're finally going to be getting some glorious love. This edition, as I'm recording the video right now in 10th edition, they haven't even got their codex yet. We know what they're getting: a brand new baby carrier knight. Well, I say a brand new, an upgraded baby carrier knight, new weapons, increases the bit of the scale, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle, but that's about it. There's been some talk in the community there that Caldor Drago is supposed to be getting a new model because his model is no longer available online, but I just don't see that happening this edition. I really hope it does, right? Please give it to me this edition, but I foresee it next edition. That's what I've been hearing for the whispers, that next edition is going to be the Great Knight edition, and I think Games Workshop are going to go in heavy-handed here. I think we're going to get brand new Terminators, and when I say brand new, like new scale Terminators, the Paladins, the Banners, the Hammers, everything like that. If you look at the scale of the Terminators right now, every character so far that has had a old Terminator model has got a new one. Lysander's about to get a brand new one, etc. And all the Space Wolf stuff, the Dark Angels, etc. They have all got brand new Terminator scale characters. So I think this is going to happen with the Grey Knights. I definitely see, like I said, Caldor Drago. Like characters like the Brother Captain, I think will get a brand new model. The Purgation squads, the Interceptor squads, I think they're going to bring all these up to scale and give them brand new kits as well. So I do see it as a proper in-depth refresh happening with the Grey Knight in 11th edition. And again, that's what the whispers are telling me. 11th is for you Grey Knight players. Well, for us Grey Knight players, because I'm a massive fan of Grey Knights. Now, moving over to non-Space Marine factions for you Xenos lovers and everything else in Warhammer 40,000, let's start with the Orcs, because apparently 11th edition is going to be launching with Space Marines versus Orcs. That is going to be the brand new big 11th edition box set. The Orcs are supposed to be in the main storyline, just like the Tyranids were in 10th edition, even though we really never got any stories of the Tyranids in 10th edition. Maybe in 11th edition, they'll do the narrative of 10th edition of the Tyranids in the Segmenta Pacificus and all that type of stuff. But on the topic I want to talk about, Orc Refresh, I am hearing that they're getting a bunch of new models. Now, I can't talk specifics at this moment in time, but if I was a betting person, I'd be talking like Mega Armored Knobs, Storm Boys, that type of stuff, right? Like, if we're getting like potentially Vanguard veterans for 11th edition, it may happen in 10th edition, but if eventually we do get him in 11th edition, and we get him like maybe in the launch box set for 11th edition, it'd be cool to have like Storm Boys versus Vanguard veterans, like that kind of like chess piece match against each other, like the fast attack troopers like going against each other. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a brand new Orc refresh happening for 11th edition. That is what I'm hearing for the whispers. I've been yapping about this now for absolute months and months and months and months, probably years at this point, that Orcs are going to be in that brand new 11th edition starter box set. And this is the literal reason why I've, jumped on the Orc wagon. I've got my own little, if it focuses, my own little Orc rack model here, big boss rack ready to go to lead the Zerg. The Zerg? Wait, it's not StarCraft. Lead the war. don't call the Inquisition. Lead the war against the Space Marines, and I'm going to join the Greetine and have some crumping fun. On top of the Orcs, another Xenos race I keep hearing about is the Dark Eldar. Now, I think towards the back end of 10th edition, we are going to get some Dark Eldar releases, but I don't think this is going to be the big one. I know Games Workshop, I say secretly released a model. They basically sent out a model by mistake. We've all saw that leaked online. I've heard that there's supposed to be a multi-part Archon coming for the Dark Eldar this edition, so maybe it's going to be like a double release this edition, but next edition I'm hearing is going to be a refresh for the Dark Eldar. And to be fair, these are the guys that absolutely need it. If you look at the Eldar at the moment, like the normal Eldar, they got a absolute amazing refresh with the Phoenix Lords, just everything a part of that range. It was absolutely fantastic. And the Dark Eldar do feel like the red-headed stepchild left out in the rain, just looking through the window saying, please, can I get some love? So hopefully next edition is going to be the Dark Eldar edition, and you're going to get a absolute boatload, pun intended, of brand new models incoming and refreshing that range and giving the love that that range definitely does deserve. And just before we jump on to the refresh or the new army, which, if this does happen, is going to be amazing, I want to talk about the Imperial Guard, because I have been hearing now for years that it's still not over for the Imperial Guard. Yes, we got Nucadians. Yes, we got Creeding Plastic, but I'm hearing potentially there's one more regiment in the pipeline for the Imperial Guard. Now, if I was a betting person, I've said this now for absolute donkeys of years, ever since we got like that big rumour thread over on Bottle and Chainsaw that talks about new guard regiments, I've always stated Catachan. It makes sense for the Catachan to get a range refresh. They've already put out some specialist models before, birthday models, a couple of them, and it would just blend into that range. Like maybe this has been the long planning of Games Workshop to finally get Catachan out there. But who knows? It could be anyone. It could be Valhallans. It could be Talon Desert Raiders, Vostrians. One of the big things about Imperial Guard that attracts me to that range is the absolute differences in regiments. Each regiment is its own thing. It has its own characteristics, its own way of warfare, its own personality, its own take on the Emperor and the galaxy itself. And one of the big things we lost recently was that, like, we used to have like massive ranges of Valhallans, Praetorians, Vostrians, etc. But all that went the way of the dodo, and slowly they've been reintroducing certain regiments back, aka Krieg and stuff. And I'm hoping that that carries on and we get more personality and more guard models entering the marketplace, because it just adds more personality to the range, and I'm sure it would sell well. Like if they announced Catachans or another regiment, I'm sure people would jump on that and make different guard armies, because that's what it's all about, making a cool guard armor, a cool guard regiment that is just not Cadians. And saving the best till last, potentially anyway, I'm hearing that we are going to get a brand new army introduced into Warhammer 40,000 on the tabletop, and it's none other than the Dark Mechanicum. Yes, you've heard that right. The Dark Beatbot bots, 0-1s, binary and stuff, they potentially are going to be coming to the tabletop game, which I am absolutely massively excited for. If there's one comment I always see in my videos, hey Valrak, have you heard anything about like Traitor Guard or like Dark Mechanicum at all? I'm like, no mate, I've heard nothing. Well, now I have heard rumours from the Whispers of the Warp that potentially in 11th edition they are supposed to be getting a brand new range introduced to the tabletop, and you're going to be able to play them, purge with them, fight with them, do everything you want to do with them. It really does kind of make sense, because if you look at like the Vashtor storyline in the model, maybe they're going to like blend that in there. That's just a personal theory of mine. Like Vashtor maybe like jumps on the Dark Mechanicum bandwagon and starts giving them like twisted vehicles and stuff. I heard a rumor ages ago that apparently Vashtor was supposed to be getting like some type of like creatures of Vashtor. Maybe that is blending in with like all this Dark Mechanicum stuff, because that's the way it works with Whispers in the Warp. There's just so many bloody Whispers out there, like, you know, it just gets twisted around, literally gets twisted around. So yes, that is one big thing I'm hearing. Dark Mechanicum potentially coming to 11th edition, and if that does happen, then it could be absolutely fantastic. I would love to get your thoughts and feedback on that. You know, Dark Mechanicum fans, players, simps, would you love the idea of getting that tabletop range and like playing it? Because yeah, I can't wait to see what Games Workshop do with it and bring that to life on the tabletop. Anyway, Chaprunios, that's enough waffling from me as always. If you've got any thoughts, feedback, anything like that, please post it down below. I will say, like, these are just the rumors I've heard so far. If I haven't mentioned a certain army in here, doesn't mean it's not happening. I'm just literally mentioning the things that I've heard through the Whispers of the Warp. So, you know, there probably could be more, even more stuff out there. So fear not if I haven't mentioned your army. But have a great day, have a great night, have a great evening where you are in the world. Have a good one, and bye-bye.